Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Family Scuba. Today I'm going to be taking you on a tour of Gilboa Quarry. We're going to be diving off of the deep uh, dock or the deep platform, heading down to the 80-foot training platform. From there, we're going to be going to the semi truck trailer. The deep side is roughly on average about 120 feet, with the furthest west end being around 90 feet. The access road is kind of like in the middle, from the shallow and the deep side. Starts out at about 35 feet and then heads west towards the west wall where it's roughly 90 feet. Like I said, we're going to be starting out on the deep side. Um, this is closer to the entrance of the quarry. Um, and like I said, it's generally used for um, uh, deep uh, class certification, deep certification students. There are a few boats down there, not a whole lot to see. But our goal on this dive was to pretty much dive the entire thing in one go. Not the easiest thing to do, probably on open circuit, but diving on rebreathers and taking the appropriate bailout gases, we were um, pretty confident about our dive plan. Speaking of which, we had to take obviously our diluent and bailout gas with us. I was carrying an aluminum 40 with 50% should we have to bail out during our deco. And we dropped a aluminum 40, and you'll see that towards the end of the video, on the I believe it's dock 3. It's the first dock on the southeast side of the shallow section. It's about 20 feet to the ground, to the sand, or to the um, silt, and there is a platform there at about 15 feet. Should we have to bail out, that bottle is going to be waiting for us there at roughly 20 feet. Like I said, we were swimming the entire deep section. So we were going to spend quite a bit of time down there. So of course we needed to have the um, proper amount of bailout and the proper gases to get that accomplished safely without without running into any issues. So gas management, gas planning was definitely a big consideration on this dive. I had attempted something like this, or roughly this, about a year or two prior. Um, I didn't expect to swim the entire length of the deep side back then. I was on open circuit, and I only planned on about 20 minutes of bottom time. Um, this time we were expecting to do about 30, but planned for a max of 40 minutes to give us just enough time to, or plenty of time, I should say, a conservative number to make it across. Like I said, we hadn't done it before. I did go on Google Maps. I measured out the distance from one end to the other. Um, and then based off of that, I believe it was just under 2,000 feet. And based off of that and past experience, knowing that we could dive or swim about 50 feet per minute, I guesstimated our distance, or time, I should say, to cross that distance, which was roughly about 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. depending on how much time we spent looking at, at what was down there. And I'll talk more about what we found as we go. So more about the quarry. It's located in Ottawa, Ohio. It's about an hour south of Cleveland, from Chicagoland area where I live. I just take the I-80 east, and I'm there in no time. Here we're working our way down. Just a side comment. As you can see, Charlie's very interested in what's going on with me. He noticed that I had a little trickle, bubbles coming off of me, and he was trying to figure out where it was coming from. It turned out that my O2 swivel, the regulator on my O2 bottle, has a 90-degree swivel on it. You can see the little bubbles working their way up. It must have had a little nick on the O-ring. I eventually, after this dive, took it apart and replaced them, and haven't had a problem since. But not too sure what happened with that. It was a brand new swivel. By all accounts, should have been fine. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen sometimes. I didn't worry too much about the slow leak. I had a full O2 bottle and wasn't expecting to use much more than 1,000 psi on this dive, so I knew that I had more than enough to complete it, even with that slow leak. I'll look up exactly how much I ended up using here, but in the meantime, we were kind of parking it here on the platform. I don't know if you could understand what I was saying earlier, but I was telling Charlie to tighten the regulator. The first stage, I thought that was my problem. It's a DIN regulator, so it screws on. And I was asking him to try to tighten it a little bit more after I shut it off and depressurize the hoses. He tried, and then he explained to me that wasn't the issue, so we moved on. In any case, I ended up using 1,108 psi, so 1,108 psi in that dive. I expected to use about 1,000, maybe 900, so 100 to 200 psi that I lost from that slow trickle. So again, I'm not the least bit concerned about it. We continued on with the dive. So here we are, as I said, at the 80-foot platform, just trying to get situated, trying to figure out what was going on with that bottle. The platform is actually at 75 feet. I'm looking at the dive profile here. It turns out it was right around 70, 75 feet or so, something like that. So anyway, once we get all get our bearings and figure out where we want to go, I think I give Charlie the okay signal. He replies okay, and then I find the wall, so I know which direction I have to go. So I start heading that way. So if you go here and you go dive on the deep end, from this platform, so there's him giving me the okay. From this platform, just find the wall. I've never not been able to see the wall from the platform. Visibility at Gilboa is usually pretty phenomenal for the Midwest. I don't think I've ever seen it less than like 50, 60 feet. Here, it can be, much more than that. At times I've seen I've been able to see the trailer just about from that platform, you know, and it's got to be like 80 feet away. But it is tucked away, so you can't see the whole thing. In any case, to find the semi truck trailer, you find that wall, you head left, which is north, and then it's tucked away just east in like a little east cubbyhole area. If light does isn't reaching the bottom, which depending on whether or not you have an overcast day, it does tend to be a little bit dark. So there's going to be a few minutes of darkness here, just because we're at the bottom. We're kind of in a shady spot, I guess, and it was darker than usual, but not uncommon for it to be this dark at the bottom. Like I said, it's going to all depend really on overcast and how bright of a day it is. So once you start heading your way north, you can see there's a small boat here. This is probably one of like 3 or 4 boats. I don't remember. I think 3 off the top of my head. There are some culverts, some like concrete culverts and stuff along the wall, and then some just miscellaneous random stuff. I actually end up missing the entrance to that little cubby hole area on the east side, on the on the wall, and I'm sorry, on the north wall, and I end up passing it entirely. So I end up running into this like mannequin looking thing, and I believe I see the wall, the west wall, and I realized that I'm sorry, the north wall. I'm getting I don't have the map in front of me. I just pulled it up. So once you get to the platform, the wall you're going to be looking for is to the east, and then you're going to head north. Um, and then you should see kind of like a cutout, a huge cutout, because you can fit an entire semi truck trailer bed in there. But if you're a little bit off of the wall, or you're focused on the ground, apparently, like I was that day, you're just going to miss it. And I think I already passed it, as a matter of fact. In any case, I had never been that far north. I had not seen the north wall anyway. So I didn't mind making it over there. And like I said, I knew we had plenty of bottom time, for looking around and kind of doing a little bit of exploring, or in this case, getting lost, going too far. But I should be coming up on that mannequin here pretty soon. I see it there. And then we kind of look at that thing, and shaking my head because I missed the turn, and go ahead and turn around and head back, this time hugging the wall a little bit better so that we get a better view into that cubby hole area. So I'm going to turn around here and head back. Like I said, there isn't a whole lot to see down there, and it's not very wide either. Most of this quarry is pretty shallow, and most of the things to see, or most of the attractions, are going to be on the shallow end. Nonetheless, it's still pretty interesting to go down to the deep end and take a look around. It's, like I said, about 120 feet. So if you do plan on going to the deep end, staying within recreational limits, you're looking at on nitrox on like 28%, probably be your best bet. You're still only looking at about 15 minutes bottom time, depending on how much time you spend on the platform, and how much you hug the bottom. In any case, here's a trailer. It is literally just a semi truck trailer with some some stuff in it. I don't know what that is. It's some sort of sink. Never really stopped to really see exactly what it is, but I think it's some sort of sink or like a little stovetop thing from a RV or something. I'm not sure. But there's a toilet and a whole bunch of other miscellaneous stuff just laying in there. Um, it's still cool to swim through. It does have some cutouts on the top. I've never gone in or out of them, but they're there in case you need a bail. And then we start heading west along the wall. Shortly after heading that way, you run into this boat, and then there's another boat just to the right of it, to the north. You can see it right from this boat, so if you are doing the same thing or doing a partial dive, or going like part of the way on the deep side, this is pretty much the last attraction you're going to see here until you get to the far west wall. Um, Besides like rocks and rock formations and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, if you pause it on that like 3D graph, um, there is a picture of a silo. I don't know who made that three-dimensional map. I think it says it on the bottom, but I can't see it from here. The lettering is too small. It's You can search Gilboa Quarry map on Google and it'll come up, so you can look at it and blow it up. The silo is actually a hole within the rocks. It's at about 70 feet. So if you're at the platform, go to the wall, follow the wall west. So to the right, if you're looking at the wall from the deep platform, and stay at about 70 feet. You can't miss it. It's not a silo. I think the silo picture was just put there for reference. It is actually it's just like a swim through in the rocks. It doesn't go in very far. It's like literally in, and then you go up about 5-10 feet, I want to say, and you swim right out of it. It's actually pretty cool. My son and I have swam through there a couple times. It does get silted out pretty bad. Um, just be prepared for that if you're going to swim through it. You can see light through it from the bottom, but the second, third person that goes through there is going to see less and less light. But it's literally a straight shot upwards. I don't see anyone really getting into any trouble there. But, swim at your own risk, like everything else we do underwater. So this is that other boat. Um, Again, another gutted boat that they put in there just to have something to look at. And I don't believe there's anything else besides these two boats working your way over to the west wall to the entrance of the access road. I'm pretty sure there's another boat that I didn't get on camera over by that first boat. There's also a deep platform, but I don't think anybody uses it. It's like 5 feet off the ground, so it's about 120, 115 feet or so. I think if you're doing your deep diver certification, maybe they go to the 75-foot platform and then go swim to the trailer and back. I don't see them stopping over there. But I did not do my deep cert here, so I don't know. And it probably also depends on the instructor. I believe you have to hit 100 feet to do to get your deep certification, at least for SSI, which is what I did. In any case, so here we are continuing west. You'll notice that it's starting to get a little bit brighter. Um, it does get slightly shallower as you go further west. Like I said, at the far northeast corner, it's about 120, 125 feet. And then the beginning, or where the access road touches bottom, it's at about 90 feet or so. So we are getting shallower and shallower the further we swim. But it's just a whole lot of this, basically. The last time, as I mentioned, that I attempted, or I planned on like a 20-minute bottom time, I ran into a couple tubes that were sticking out of the ground. That day visibility was not as good as it is on this dive, so I couldn't tell where I was or how far I had really gone. There was very little reference. I was just kind of going along the bottom, and looking at the rocks, because you couldn't see more than 30, 40 feet in front of you. And I had gotten away from the wall and really had no reference of where I was, so it was mostly just compass navigation at that point. When it was time to ascend, I just started heading south until I hit the wall, and then worked my way up into the shallow side. But on this dive, we did make it all the way to the other end. Here we're getting pretty close now. I didn't make it to this point last time. This was kind of cool because you can see up there, that's where the access road is. And we're shallower, so a lot more light's getting down there now. And what was interesting about this is that it had like a weird pit, almost like a meteor strike. Obviously, I don't think it was, but it looked like it, which was kind of cool. It's like being on the surface of Mars. In any case, I didn't want to go in there. Saw there was that ledge over there, so I was more curious about what was over that than the pit. Charlie goes in there and get a couple seconds of video of him just floating in the mist, because it was really foggy in there, which is another reason why I didn't feel like going in there. But pretty much everything narrows down once you get to this side. I think when I go over this ledge here, you actually see the north wall, which I was surprised. I didn't think it was that close, or that it was that narrow there. So it can't be more than 100, 200 feet wide at that point. Maybe a little bit wider. So here I'm turning around. There's that pit I was talking about that was all foggy. Charlie couldn't help himself. He had to go take a look. It's just pretty cool. Wish I had gotten some better video of it, but it pretty much just, you must have seen it. I realized I wasn't going any further. In any case, here I'm coming up, and I'm heading west, kind of northwest. So I don't know what's over there, and I wanted to check it out. Plus, I saw that looked like it might have been something, but I don't think it was. I think it was just some more white rocks or debris. I think that's just a tree branch. Oh, that's the other thing that was kind of cool. Along the entire west wall, there's a skeleton. I wonder if that tree was sticking up at some point. It might have been. That's what I was going to say. There is a tree line along the west wall, which is pretty interesting. The trees aren't very old. They're still, pretty small, or in their infancy, I guess, for trees. Probably about 10, 12 feet. Very small diameter trunks, but it goes to show you how long they were working in this pit. These trees you know, had enough time to grow to that size. I imagine that there were probably others that were knocked down or died, you know, during the process of digging this hole out. Speaking of which, I don't know what they were digging out of here. It's the Midwest, so I'd assume it's another lead mine. It's pretty much what every quarry around the north end of the Midwest was being excavated for, was lead, among a few other things. In any case, that's the north wall, I believe. And then I just continue west from there and hit the west wall and then start heading south. That might have been another road. I think they were digging out that section over there as well. Yeah, this had to be a road because it drops down on both sides. So this must have been the north wall road that led to the deeper section. So it wraps around from the shallow side, heads down to the west wall, wraps around to the north wall, and then back up. So here I'm working my way. This is the west wall now, so I'm working my way south. And this is the tree line I was talking about. Trees or bushes, I don't know. They look like trees. It's hard to tell from my screen right now. Like small trees. In any case, that's that umbrella. I've seen that before, so I knew where it was at this point. That is the bottom of the access road. So beyond that is pretty much the shallow wall. And then you head east from here up the access road to the shallow side. I think I've been pretty much everywhere in this quarry except the length of the west wall. I'm sorry, not the west wall, the north wall. Because we were swimming along the south end of the deep side, along the deep wall. And I've never been to the far southwest corner, which would be up that hill, basically. It gets pretty shallow over there. There is a when you start to approach that corner, there's like a pickup truck that's in another hole, so to speak, kind of like that meteor hole down there. It's right in the middle of it, pretty much, and then it just starts to get really shallow from there. So, I mean, maybe that's all there is over there. I don't know. I've never gone beyond that point, but I think that's pretty much it. So that's the road. That's going to take us up to the shallow side. So that's where things get a little bit more interesting. This road is almost like 2/3 of the length that we just swam. So I think I shut the video off a few times coming up here. Otherwise, this would have been like a 2-hour-long video. Speaking of which, bottom time was only about 30 minutes. I think from when we dropped down on the deep side, on the east side of the deep end, to our point where we started ascending, it was just under 30 minutes. It took us about 26 minutes or 27 minutes, something like that. Well, I wasn't going to film another 15 minutes of this, even though it does look pretty cool. It's like you're on another planet. So up this access road, there's Christmas tree. Every year they decorate it. It is a huge, huge pine tree that's still standing upright and still has most of its pine needles, which is kind of cool. It's a huge tree. It's got to be like 40 foot tree. Huge diameter. Every Christmas, or at least in the past, they would decorate it. So that was kind of cool. I think they make an event of it and everyone comes out and hangs stuff on it. So that's pretty interesting. Other than that, they have these huge culvert tubes. I'm not sure what exactly they're used for, probably drainage or something. But they're probably, I don't know, like, I want to say 5 foot wide and about 30 feet long. And then they have them stacked up kind of like in a square. It's pretty cool to swim through them. Those are about 65 feet, 65 feet. We should be getting to them pretty soon. So anywho's so like I said, bottom time was only about 27 minutes, but we racked up quite a bit of deco. Those of you who don't go beyond the recreational limits, you know that anytime you pass your no decompression limits, you incur decompression stops. The longer you stay down and the deeper you are, the longer, the more time you're going to need decompressing on your way up. So I'm looking at my profile here. It looks like when we started ascending up that road, which is kind of a slow ascent, we had about 19 minutes of decompression time. We worked some of that out on the way up. By the time we reached, let me see, what's our depth here? By the time we reached about 30 feet, we had already cleared our 40 and 30 foot stops. And then we, again, the slow ascent going up. By the time we hit the 20 foot stop, we had already just about cleared it. I think we had about less than a minute at 20 feet, but we had plenty to do during that time, so it wasn't a big deal. Here's those tubes I was talking about. They're actually a lot longer than I thought. But they're pretty fun to swim through. They are pretty silty, as you can see. This is a good test of your buoyancy. If you can swim through these without stirring it up, you're doing pretty well. This is a good time to practice your frog kicks, maybe your modified flutter. If you're diving on open circuit, you're still gonna stir it up a little bit because your bubbles are gonna release some of the rust and grime from the ceiling, but it's a huge difference. You'll know whether or not you did a good job. In any case, here we are approaching like the 55 foot mark, roughly where the tree is. As you can see, it's a huge tree. Didn't tear it down when they were digging in here. I suspect that it's still in its original spot because I don't see them being able to bury this tree in there and it's still being upright all this time. So I'm pretty sure it still has its original roots and it's being held up by its own power. I don't think it's alive anymore. I don't know. I'm not a botanist or anything. In any case, continuing up the road, you can see the ledge to the left. That is the wall that we were following. You drop down that ledge and continue heading in that direction. You're going to end up back where those boats were earlier. And this thing here, I believe, used to be a silo, a water silo, because there's a tank there. I remember the first time I dove here, it was a few years ago. It was still more intact. I don't remember it being this broken up. So maybe it's fallen apart. I don't know. Maybe that rowboat there crashed into it. So this is another 3D map that I got off the internet. That is where we're going. Give it a pause, study the map, Google it, take a look at it. It is very useful if you're going to dive here as far as navigation goes. It'll help you get around a lot easier. That is a nice thing about Gilboa having so many things to look at, and the water being so clear. It is a great place to practice your navigation. If you take a slate down with you and just jot down some notes, you know, some directions, so to speak, some compass bearings, you can practice your navigation pretty well here. This is the inside of that plane. I have no idea what kind of plane it is, but it was probably very expensive at one point. Looks like a private jet of some kind. It's probably like $80 million at one point. Now it's sitting at Gilboa Quarry in like 30 feet. Come on the back side of it. And then head over to the cargo chopper. Big old cargo chopper that's pretty much a skeleton. I didn't spend a whole lot of time here. To be honest, I was kind of trying to time our deco, our remaining deco. Those are the platforms off of dock 2, I believe. They're like at 20 feet-ish. This is like 35 feet-ish. I was trying to time our deco obligation with our exit. I didn't want to sit around too long. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but when we did this dive about a month ago, a little over a month ago, the water was 43 degrees. It was 43 at the bottom, and actually no, it was 40 degrees at the bottom. So we spent about 30 minutes or so in about 40 degrees, and then the rest of the time it was at 43. So I was trying to time the our exit point with our deco obligation, so we didn't dilly-dally in there any longer than we needed to. So Charlie, I think I ended up skipping a couple things that we could have gone to check out. There's a whole bunch of boats here, and we didn't go to that pickup truck that I mentioned earlier. But I slowly worked my way over there, and there's another pickup truck, and looked at the animals, went through everything that we could. Well, here comes that fish. One thing I should mention, I think anyone who's ever been to Gilboa knows that the fish here are not afraid of people. You used to be able to buy fish food. I don't know what it is. It looks like cat food to me, like dry cat food, but I don't know exactly what it is. You get a little Ziploc bag for $1, and then you swim over to this old bus. This is the original bus. They hang out there because that's where the divers go to feed them, and they are aggressive. I had one bite through a dry glove, a fairly thick dry glove at that. I have a really short video of it on my channel if you want to check that out. But It's a good time. You just have to rip the bag open and let the food fly and let them have at it, because if you try hand feeding them, they are going to bite through whatever it is that you're using for thermal protection. This is the other bus that they just put this one in the water. This one was sitting over by what is now the beach area for a really long time, pretty much the last few years that I've been going here. They finally finished cleaning it out and put it in the shallow side, or just slightly deeper than the old one. Um, it's always fun to swim through the buses for some reason. And this one being so new, it made it kind of cool, its own special way. That is close to the ledge. That is the deep wall right there. That probably goes down to about 115, 110 feet, something like that. Charlie working his way through. Wish I had gotten better video of him. I have my GoPro mounted on a cave diving helmet, which is great because it's hands-free, but I tend to forget that it's several inches above my eyes, and even though I can see him, I'm not necessarily recording him. So I have to remember that going forward. So, as I was saying about our deco time, as much as I was trying to exit, I ended up getting over there a little too soon, and we ended up swimming circles for about 20 minutes in about 15-20 feet of water. Which is not the worst thing in the world, but my legs were starting to cramp, and I just wanted to get out of the water at that point. Here we're at about an hour and 20 minutes, just shy of 120. And here we're at about an hour and 5, maybe, hour and 10. And I just wanted to get out. But gotta get those deco stops done, so we were stuck. I almost went over by the platform and just laid down on the platform. I didn't want to set a bad example for some students that were diving there that day. I'd never even ran into them, or they never even came in while we were there doing our deco stop, so I could have just laid on that platform. Anyhow, there's my bottle. I just tossed it in the water, and from right there, and it just went head first into the muck. That's alright. So I grab it from there and I go put it on the platform, and man, that thing looks like it went in about 4 or 5 inches, like a torpedo. Go set it on that platform, and then we do a couple laps to get finish out our time. Right behind this quarry, so I'm looking at this water, and I'm thinking of my theory I've always had. I don't know for sure. I've never asked anyone. But you notice how clear the water is. I mean, this is unbelievably clear for, a quarry like this. And my theory, I was going to say, is that there's a river the Blanchard River that runs along the south end of the quarry, and it wraps around because the whole quarry is kind of rounded off on the south end, and it wraps around the entire thing, and the water is always flowing there. So my theory is that the water, the natural flow of the river, must connect somehow with the quarry, and it creates some sort of siphon. And the siphon, it's all the standing water out there, and then of course the spring at some point when you're digging, and there's enough water coming out of that spring to keep up with the siphoning effect. And my theory is that that's why this water is so clear, because it doesn't matter what time of the year I've gone. I should say I only go really in the winter time, but I've gone, in like November, December, and as late as April, and it's always like this, just unbelievably clear. A good day out here by me, at a quarry anyway, is like 10 feet, 15 feet if you're lucky. So this is always a good time. I don't know what it's like in like June, July, or August. I know they do quite a few classes here. As a matter of fact, I was speaking to the lady that checked us in, and she's part of the new ownership. I don't know like what her role is, or if she's a part owner or not, but she had quite a bit of information to share, and she was telling us that in their peak times in the summer, they can have over 1,000 people here, which is crazy. So I don't know what having 1,000 people in the water does to the visibility, but go between November and April, and it will be like this or better.
I got a crash.
And of course, here we're shallow, so a ton of sunlight gets down. See everything pretty clearly. I think at this point, I can't hear sound, but I think you might be able to hear me complain a few times about the cramps I was getting. I don't understand why I was getting cramps. I was hydrated really well. I knew this was going to be a long, cold, deep dive. I ate, had a banana or two the day before, but sometimes you just cramp up, I guess. I don't know. In any case, we still had, I think, like, well, I only had, I think, like 5 minutes or something, 5 or 6 minutes at this point. And Charlie had signaled that he had like 9 or 10, I think, just there a minute ago. So then I didn't want to sit there in one spot. I just wanted to keep moving. But eventually the just kind of hang out by the platform. This boat's pretty cool. I wish it was upright. It looks like it was some sort of cabin cruiser at some point. All the walls have fallen down. There's a window right there on the port bow side that you can go through if you're in side mount. I didn't swim through it this time, but it's pretty cool. Swim through there and then head right, and there's a door that you can make your way out of. But I think it's really low, so if you're not inside mount, you won't get through there. In any case, I'm just killing time here. Swimming through the trees. Checking out this really nice blue crystal clear water. There's usually a lot of fish here too, but they weren't here today. I didn't see too many on this dive, surprisingly, besides those shark teeth trout, I think. I think they're trout. I don't know. As much diving as I do, I should probably learn the names of all of these fish. I know in most of the quarries you'll find like smallmouth bass, bluegills, some catfish. I don't know what breed of catfish or what type of catfish, but a lot of those like dark blue catfish. Um, and then your more exotic types that I couldn't even begin to tell you what they're called. There's always something to see. There's a piggy over there on the left. Looks like there's another boat over to the left of that platform. That's where I left my tank, just behind that box. It's got a couple of I almost wanted to go take a nap on that platform. Speaking of naps, I'm not sure why Charlie had so much time. I don't think he even knew why he had so much time. He said he was keeping his VO2 pretty constant, and I remember we set our gradient factors the same. So I don't know. Maybe I was pumping a little bit more extra, a little bit more O2 into my loop. For those of you who aren't familiar with gradient factors on more technical capable dive computers, you can change the conservatism for your decompression. So the more conservative the factors are, the longer it'll keep you underwater, the more time it'll give you. The less conservative or the more aggressive they are, the less time it'll give you to stay underwater. And I believe we've have both of ours are set the same because for that reason, so that we could have matching profiles and get out at the same time. I think that worked a lot better when we were both on open circuit and using the same gases, because we're both going to stay relatively at the same depth, and our profiles are going to be relatively the same, like within a minute or two of each other. Oh, now I remember what it was. So I was staying probably about 5-10 feet off of the bottom, and Charlie said he was skimming the bottom. He was like really down in there. So he was 10 feet deeper on average for the whole deep section of the dive, which, when you're down there for almost 30 minutes, it's going to make a difference. So in any case, I kind of skipped forward here a little bit. I ended up stopping at that platform and just kind of putting a finger on the edge just so I didn't get float away. And I waited there. I think we had like 3 or 4 more minutes for him to finish, so I ended up probably spending an extra 4 minutes or so on the bottom, which is fine because I generally do that anyway. When I have a long-ish decompression elevation, a few extra minutes never hurt. But here we're just going to make our way up to the dock platform. I really like this platform because it's still underwater, so you can kneel there and get all your tanks unhooked while uh, so that you're not, bearing the weight of everything on your back while you're de-kitting. Um, I say that, but I think I ended up just walking everything out. So awesome dive, really cool place to go. Like I said, did I mention it was under new ownership? I think I did when I mentioned talking to the lady at the desk to check this in. They're doing a lot of changes. They got that bus in the water. They made that whole area on the east side, southeast side, into a beach. So now they allow uh, swimmers there before they didn't. Again, I don't know what that's going to do for visibility, but if they packed it full of sand over there, it probably should be okay. I don't know. Time will tell. And
I was
they
cramping
also have
so
camping
bad.
there. They're
Oh,
putting a ton of money into this
that was
place. Not that
terrible.
the previous owner
Like,
wasn't
I didn't
keeping
know
up
if
with
I
it,
should
but
keep
I
moving
think he just
or stand still.
couldn't keep up with it. He was one guy, and that was the whole. That was our entire swim from the bottom right to the left. 128 max, 118 total runtime. Average depth about 70 feet, 40 feet at the bottom, 43 average temperature. But that's it. Like I said, new ownership. They're dumping a lot of money into this place, putting a whole bunch of new camping sites, camping stuff. I camp there. It's a great time. Um, they are doing some work to the bathhouse and to the main building. Definitely a great place to go dive if you have the opportunity. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you got something out of it and that you get out and dive there at some point. Have a good one, and I will see you on the next video.